Welcome in another collaboration. We talk ball and Sweet Tea in the SEC. My boy Adam from Sweet Tea in the SEC and Austin from We Talk Ball. Come sub to the YouTube channel at College Sports Crew on YouTube. You can also follow the Twitter account at College Crew. How are you fellas doing tonight? Austin, how you doing?
Doing good, man. It's been a busy week. Trying to get all my work done early in the week to get ready for semifinals this week.
Thursday and Friday. Damn you, NFL. Adam, how you doing, brother?
Hey, man, what's going on? Just enjoying the new year. Watched an amazing FCS championship game last night that two of the three of us watched, and had a good evening watching that. It was a great game.
Come on, man.
That is a great transition because I did not send this in the text. I did want to touch on that before we get started, and we got a jam-packed show. This is going to be. I'm going to try my hardest to keep this under an hour. This is going to be hard. The hardest challenge we've had yet. But yes, let's touch on that FCS game because in me and Austin's group chat, and we've got several with his wife, I had text in that group chat. That was the best college football game I've ever watched, or I've watched this season. I might not say ever, but this season and all of this whole season, that was the best game ever, man. We had blocked kicks multiple times. We had 100 false start penalties. We had a crazy pass at the end that was just a beautiful pass to win it. And then the extra point that didn't get blocked that won the whole thing, man. Adam, I know you were in it. You compared it to 2nd and 26. I don't know why you did that.
I didn't compare it to that. I said it was the best national championship game that I had seen since that game.
Yeah,
that game was an exciting game too. If you're not a fan of Alabama or Georgia, that was a really exciting game.
To be fair, if you ask Chris what the most exciting national championship game was, it'd be the Georgia TCU game. That was his favorite. But anyhow,
I knew as soon as you said "to be fair," you're going to come with that with all the homerisms that he
has. What'd you think of that game though?
I didn't put it on till probably the third quarter. I got caught up doing a couple other things. I put it on early in the third quarter. I think it was 14-21. I think when I put it on, and it was just kind of a game going along, and then all of a sudden, it got super exciting. You know, they tied it up, and Illinois State. The announcers kept saying this is Illinois State's game. They like those long drives, and then it just started. You know, an 8-minute drive, a 10-minute drive. It started, and you could see the Montana State defensive line just started to get tired, and they were imposing their will, but then they couldn't. The snaps, it was not. I don't think either missed field goal, extra point, any of that was the kicker. I think it was the snap was slightly off, and the holder was not doing a very good job either. But then you had Montana State that couldn't figure out a snap count.
Yeah, Austin, the amount of times I text your wife, oh my God.
Oh, I saw them all. Trust me, I saw them all this morning. Now you make it sound like I didn't watch the game. I watched a good 3 quarters, maybe even some into the fourth quarter.
Austin's tired of the allegations that he's old, but
look here, it is 10 days from my birthday, and it will be my 40th birthday. So everybody's giving me a little hard time about turning old, but.
I thought we were closer to 50, but okay.
No, turning 40, 10 days. But anyhow, I'll give you my take on the first 3 quarters. Montana State was the obvious better team on the field, but it was kind of like you were talking in that Georgia Ole Miss game last week. They just kept it a 1-score game. Montana State would score and go up by 2, but then Illinois State would answer, and I said they keep hanging around. That they want this, and then they finally got some stops on defense and got it tied up. And then what allegedly happened? All hell broke loose because I was asleep at that point.
Yeah, it was awesome. Like I was kind of, because I'm an old man too. I joke on Austin, but I'm old too. I don't like staying up past 11. but I was rooting for it not to go to overtime, but it did. And I could not believe he missed that extra. Or what was it? A missed extra point or blocked? It was blocked, wasn't it? The
It's also,
Illinois State one in overtime.
I don't remember if that one was missed or blocked. I think they were both blocked. I think they both came out
Okay.
low. The field goal was definitely blocked. I think they both came out low due to bad snaps, bad holds. The extra point, the holder he kind of bobbled the snap a little bit. That was not a terrible snap. He bobbled a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, when he missed it, I knew. I was like, "Oh Lord, this is not good." Or blocked it, and I was like, "But anyway, great game, great FCS national championship between Illinois State and Montana State." I root for the Grizzlies, so that was that sucked watching the Montana State Bobcats win it. Was I told Caitlin in our group chat, me and Austin's group chat with her, I said if Illinois State win, I think I said this, or if I didn't, I thought it. I was going to buy me an Illinois State national championship shirt. I was going to do it. I was like, let's go. But Montana State won. Kudos to them. All right, Adam had a and I'm going to try to pull this up and I'm going to try to filibuster a little bit here, but Adam had a neat experience. Sorry, video ain't. Adam was at the Sugar Bowl. Well represent. College Sports Crew. We had Jamal, who's a new addition, at the Orange Bowl. That vlog is up on our YouTube channel. And then over on the Weekly Walk On and on Instagram, our guy Adam with a bunch of content at the Sugar Bowl. Adam, tell us about your experience there.
That was probably the best game I've seen at the Sugar Bowl. The Texas-Washington semifinal a couple of years ago was a close second, but it was exciting. It was close. It came down. Nobody knew when it officially actually ended. It took 3 times for that to be figured out. It was just one of those back-and-forth games, and both teams were high quality. It was what a playoff game should be. I would have liked to see a little bit more defense. I'm a defensive guy, but it was what a playoff game should be, and it was a great experience. I always thoroughly enjoy working those games, but I haven't had a whole lot of luck. I worked the Alabama-Kansas State game. That was a blowout. Ohio State-Clemson there was a blowout. The 2020 season, the national championship game, Texas or LSU-Clemson was a blowout. Last year, I don't think was that close. I can't remember who was in it last year now off the top of my head.
Georgia, Notre Dame.
Yeah, Georgia, Notre Dame. The score was not that different of a score, but Notre Dame controlled that whole game. That was kind of a somber, just tough day in New Orleans anyway with the terrorist attack and everything. And you didn't have all the crowd there. A different experience for the Sugar Bowl, but it's always a great experience, and I don't always get to see because I'm the Red Hat assistant. So I stand on the 20-yard line. This year I was on Georgia's, so I'm on the TV sideline or where the TV is viewing. So I was on Georgia's right, looking at it from the main camera, and it gets kind of tough to see when the ball's down the other end, but it's also great views, and I wouldn't trade that experience. It's I feel very fortunate to be able to do it, and it's always awesome. But this just happened to be the best game that I was there for.
Yeah, you were texting us during it, and you could tell you were having a blast. And the videos, again, y'all can find that. Adam, I already exited out of it. What's the Instagram name on the Weekly Walk On?
CFB Guy 1.
All right, CFB Guy 1. Go
follow my Twitter's right there. It's the same as my Twitter, but put a number 1 after it.
Yep, go find that on Instagram. He's got a couple of videos on there. He was looked like a couple of feet away from the GOAT walking in, Kirby Smart. So how did it feel being close to the the best coach in college football?
Well, his director of ops was walking next to him, and he looked over and said, "How's it feel to be this close to the GOAT YouTube channel?" And Kirby's knees kind of buckled a little bit. He got red in the face and his knees buckled. So no, I honestly I knew the teams were coming in. And so I went over there to try, and I looked, and I didn't realize it was Kirby at first. Like, I had my phone out already, luckily. and I didn't see a stream of people. Like when the teams come in, it's a big stream, and I just saw a couple people walking in and didn't look that close. All of a sudden, I looked at the face. I was like, oh crap, I got to record this. So got up and close with Champ Bailey. Was on Georgia's sideline for a little while, and then the SEC, was it SEC Nation or whatever, their crew, their stage was set up very close. So stood right next to Tim Tebow for the end of the second quarter and then some of the fourth quarter as well before he got back on stage. And then Jordan Rogers was very close in the proximity as well most of the time.
Yeah. It's kind of like fun. Or go ahead, Austin.
I was going to say, did you have to help with the putting, rolling the stage out and putting it away and then bringing it back out?
No, I watched that from afar. I was the Red Hat assistant, so all I did was the Red Hat had his headset on. He's on the radio with a walkie-talkie communications with the TV truck, and you got your set timeouts, the set length of them, and he would say, "Hey, we're going at this break," or "We're not going this break." And every time we were going, I'd be out in the white with him, ready to go out on the field. I just go out on the 20, the numbers on the field, flip the clock, and start it when he gave me the start motion. And I mean, it's a really easy gig, and I can't believe they pay somebody to do that for any game, especially playoff games like that. But I will continue to do it as long as I'm in town.
I've always said, I don't know if I said it live. I know I've said it privately to Austin. I don't even know if I've said it to Tim. If reincarnation is real, I want to come back as Adam. Either Adam or his dog. I've heard how he interacts with his dog. He's a great dog owner. So I either want to be Adam's dog or Adam himself. Athletes Forum podcast said Tebow still looks like he claps by doing the gator chomp for a living, my goat.
His back and shoulders, I've seen him in person before, but never that close. His back and shoulders, I felt like were double mine.
He's a big dude.
He is a big dude.
He's muscular, he's big, but he's just wide this way. I don't know if I've ever realized how wide he is that way. I always knew he was fit, muscular, big dude, fitness guy, but man, his bone structure is just huge too.
It feels like he's one of those guys that he's big, but when you see him in person, he's even bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
for sure.
All right, guys. Dabo's bringing the crew back together. Chad Morris hired as Clemson's offensive coordinator. Okay. Austin, we'll go with you first since we went Adam first last. Okay.
I want you to go first on this one.
Okay.
I want to hear your take.
Is that I don't know. I think he was great when he called play. I asked Pops this. I can't even remember when he called last time he called plays. It's been a while. It feels like. I don't know. This feels like. Listen, I like Chad Morris. I do. I think Chad Morris was great when Clemson was rolling. I just don't know. This feels like Dabo's just, going back into what he's comfortable with rather than, trying to go out and change things up. And unfortunately, this has nothing to do with Chad. I think this is going to be Dabo's last year.
Here's my thoughts on it because you kind of segued into what I wanted to say. I think part of what's held Dabo back is his. I don't know if I want to say inability or unwillingness to adapt to new times. And this feels like he took another step back to try to bring back the old times. And it's just a different ball game than it was even 10 years ago. So they brought some dudes in back in the day on that offense. But unfortunately, just flat out recruiting doesn't get that done now. So be curious to see how it works out, but we'll see.
Sounds like you're in the same track of mind as me. Adam, what did you think of this hire?
I'm similar track. He's a great play caller, but like you, how long has it been since he's been calling plays? I looked up his what he's been doing the last few years, and In 24, he was a Texas State wide receiver coach. 23, he was a Clemson offensive analyst. 22, he was South Florida offensive analyst. 21, he was Allen High School in Texas. It's been since 2020 since he was calling plays. I would guess he was calling plays at Auburn. Maybe he wasn't. And then head coach at Arkansas and SMU. I don't know if he relinquished those duties a little bit, but he was not. His sole purpose was not to call plays when he was the head coach. So we'll see. It's been since he left Clemson as their play caller in 2014. So he knows how to call plays. If he can get the right players for his system, I think it works.
Yeah.
But I also, is he going to be limited? Is he going to have the players that they need? Is he, but you have those questions with every single coach that gets hired. So I think I'm maybe a little bit more optimistic than you two. And I think something definitely has to change at Clemson for Dabo to stay around. He's the best coach they've ever had. But at some point, we've talked about this, a few other coaches, James Franklin being one. Sometimes you just need a breath of fresh air, even if the coach isn't doing that bad.
I'm kind of surprised. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I'm kind of surprised the AD okayed this. I figured, from everything I've read, the AD's a pretty smart, savvy guy. Kind of surprised he kind of was okay with him bringing the band back together. But either way, all right. Austin, you had any closing thoughts on that?
I'll close it out with this. From the Dabo side of things, if he wants to stay at Clemson, I don't think this was a bad move. I think bringing the band back together, as you just said, gives him the best opportunity to turn the team around quickly. Because I think after you took the talented team you had this year to 6-6, his time is limited. He didn't have time to go out and hire somebody. And what if he made the wrong hire and it flops again? He's gone. So I do think this is his best opportunity in a last ditch effort to stay at Clemson.
Yeah, good point. Portal. Adam's favorite thing about college football. I feel like this one didn't get talked about enough here in the last day or so. I think this was announced today. I can't remember, but
I think I saw it yesterday.
I think it was last night. Yeah.
Okay, last night, and then I guess because all the portal, I don't know. I wasn't on the internet much today, so didn't feel like this got talked about enough. And I think this is absolutely massive for Michigan to get Bryce Underwood back. They got him back, and I had posted on our Twitter account that him and Beck's offense is going to feed families. I am so freaking hyped to watch him and Beck's offense. Adam, how big is this in your opinion for Michigan?
I think it's huge. I didn't think he was going to stay. Just kind of the way his whole recruitment went. He was a last second flip. It was because of money. And I thought for sure he would be out once the coaching change went on there. And I'm surprised. I think this is a huge huge uptick for Michigan, and he at times struggled this year. But depending on who you ask, some said it was because they didn't open the offense up and let him play. They handcuffed him too much. They were holding him back, and he has tons of upside. Can he mature and keep growing his game? Because there was definitely times, even when it wasn't the coaches holding him back, there were times where he struggled and showed signs of being a freshman, but that's all freshmen. And I think he has a ton of upside, and what he was able to do with the lack of talent around him was pretty good.
Yeah, to kick it over to you, Austin, I think this offense is better suited for his skill set.
Yeah, I will say this. I think, let me make sure I say this right. I think Bryce Underwood will benefit more from having Beck than Beck will benefit from having Bryce Underwood.
Mm.
I think he will be huge for the rest of his college career and possibly, helping him, get into the NFL, which is, all the ultimate goal.
Mhm.
Because I'm with Adam. There were times this year I'm like, is he living up to the hype? But at the same time, he still had a solid season. Yeah, I'm excited to see. I'm still not 100% sold that he's the $10 million quarterback. Um, but I am excited to see him under a new system, and especially this system.
Yeah, this system seems to fit his skill set more. A couple of other things. I guess we'll go to quarterbacks. We had a Adam's our resident Kentucky guy. We had a quarterback, Kenny Minchie. I think that's how you say his name, Minchie, from Notre Dame. A guy that I'm pretty high on just because the general sentiment was that quarterback battle with CJ Carr was actually a lot closer than people think. So I'm really excited about him. But we had a committed to Nebraska from the portal. Usually you only see this in recruiting. You don't usually the portal is more like business. It's more like a
Yep.
business trip. It's not to try to get wooed or anything like that. You go there with your agent, you get the numbers right, you get business done, you sign the deal, you go on. And apparently he committed Nebraska, then flipped, and now is a Kentucky quarterback. Big win for Will Stein, era at Kentucky. Adam, what did you think about that? I don't know. Did y'all see Will Compton's tweet calling the kid all kind of crap? Dang, I should have had it on ready to go. I'll pull it up while you're talking, Adam. But what did you think about that for your Kentucky Wildcats?
I got asked about this today, and I'm kind of mixed on it because if he couldn't beat out Carr at Notre Dame, and Carr's also another young quarterback, but I didn't think Carr was anything super special at Notre Dame. So if he couldn't beat Carr out, and he would have had more talent around him at Notre Dame than what he has at Kentucky right now. It makes me wonder, how is he going to do with less talent? And so I'm just taking it with a grain of salt for what it is right now, you know. This is how I responded. Yeah, did you see your alma mater pulled Notre Dame's transfer quarterback from Nebraska? And I put, yeah, not sure if he's worth it or not. If he couldn't start at Notre Dame, I thought Carr was decent, but nothing to write home about. And that's kind of how I feel right now.
Austin, I don't know if you could see that, but Will Compton. Oh, well, before I go to Austin, I agree with you, Adam, on what you said. But I wonder if it's I think maybe Kentucky fans are excited more so on the Will Stein side of things and how he
Yeah.
did with Knicks and possibly how it could look with Kenny.
And he might look amazing in a different system too.
Yeah. Will Compton Austin said, I'm not going to repeat it. I do label this show not for kids for the slip up cuss words I'll sometimes say on YouTube, and because I don't want YouTube to ban us. So it really wouldn't matter, but I'm just not going to say it. Kenny Minchie just blank Nebraska. He committed. He was supposed to visit tomorrow. Agent had paperwork, said he was signing Kentucky. How about this? A school. I'm around a bunch of Kentucky fans on Twitter. I follow a lot of them. Their biggest complaints NIL, but how about this quote? Kentucky hit him with a blank check. Look at this. Kentucky now supposedly playing with the big dogs. That's funny compared to because Kentucky fans, I think Adam would agree. Their biggest complaint is NIL for football. That's been hell. I think Mark Stoops complained about that.
It was Stoops' biggest complaint as well. Yeah. I don't know if it's so much the fans because they wanted all to go to basketball, but it was Stoops.
That's true.
A big Stoops complaint by far.
That's true. You're right, Stoops. But he said lack of honor and spine led him to switch before signing the contract. Agent complied. Now, for anybody that don't know Will Compton, he is a former Nebraska player. Just to throw that out there. But yeah, I don't know why he got so mad. Maybe I don't know. Maybe the recruiting life ain't for him.
Yeah.
Is more.
I'd be curious to what he says now because I mean, we'll see how it plays out, but I'm not sure Nebraska didn't come out on the better end. Did you see who
Yeah,
they just signed right before we came on the show?
it's slipping my mind. I thought I seen it. Who is it?
Yeah, it was UNLV's quarterback. I mean,
That's
that
right.
kid he was the Mountain West Offensive Player of
Yeah.
the Year, threw for almost 3,500 yards. So, um, I don't know. Again, that's one of those have to wait and see. But, um, I mean, that's a pretty quick turnaround to grab him, though. So kudos to them.
Yeah, y'all know my sick habit. I visited the Nebraska message board last night.
You're
Uh,
sick, man.
I'm a sick man. I'm a sick man. But yeah, they were on fire. It was entertaining. It's probably the more entertaining one I've read in weeks. But yeah, it was fun. Austin, before I get to the last couple of things, we'll go to you. Bama Exodus. You nervous? What's going on? I haven't. I know you had some edge guys. Keeley, James Smith, couple of O lines. Did get a big one in Hollywood Smother. I think it's how you say his name.
Yeah.
But Hollywood, the running back from North Carolina State, which I'm a huge fan of. I think he fits perfect for DeBoer. What is your outlook? And I'm gonna pull up something while you're talking. Did you see Ha's tweet?
I
I'll let
did.
I'll let you talk while I pull that up.
I'll be honest. My wife asked me yesterday, "Are you concerned with anybody that's left?" And I mean, the real answer was no. Honestly, a lot of the people that are leaving are people I'm hoping. I told you this morning. I'm hoping there's a plan to replace them because if not, we're going to be in trouble. But a lot of I mean, a big part of the mass exodus was on the O line, which is where I think we just need to hit the reset button. Anyhow, so again, kind of a wait and see thing. But as of right now, I don't hurt for anybody who's left.
Yeah, and Haha said, Adam, go watch the tape. And I think if I'm remembering right, he works at Bama now, right?
I, yeah, I think so.
Okay, so I
Uh,
thought that's what made this even better. He said, go watch the tape and tell me what guys y'all are upset about leaving. Um, based off production. I'm in the office all day, I'll wait. And he spent like half the day, it seems like, replying to people. Adam
yeah,
or,
so somebody
or
put that Keeley was leaving, and he said I'm talking about production for the whole season, not 3 plays. And I was like, damn.
Well, Alabama just picked up Michigan true freshman offensive lineman Caden Stayhorn as well.
Did they? I knew
Yeah,
he was I saw he was visiting yesterday, but I was actually going to bring that up. I never saw what happened.
Clinton Dix just retweeted it. I was looking back, so I wanted to see his tweet that Chris has up on the screen a little bit better on my phone than trying to squint and see it on my screen. But
I see it good.
it's an old age.
I am the oldest one here, but I look the youngest.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair.
Wait, you're the youngest and look the oldest.
That's true too. Dang. Clip that. Let's all right. Well, we're gonna try to go rapid fire with this. I'll name up. All right, so quarterbacks. Brian Brown going to Auburn. Sam Levitt looks like he's leaning towards LSU. Sorsby to Texas Tech. That's pretty much the main ones that I went and looked at. I think Brown was the worst kept secret. I think we all knew he was headed to Auburn. I think that's phenomenal pickup for Auburn. Sam Levitt, possibly it's not beneficial, but it seems like it's trending towards him going to LSU. I think that would be a phenomenal fit for Lane Kiffin. And that'll transition us to a more broader conversation before we move on to games and stuff. How about them Rebels? Not only beating the Dogs, but retaining Trinidad Chambliss, hinged on if he gets the waiver, and Lacey getting announced.
I heard he got the waiver today.
Really?
I heard it was I was at work and somebody mentioned it. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. Let me look it up.
That would be.
I hadn't seen anything reported on it, but
That would be. Hey, we got insiders on this channel. It's another reason why y'all should sub. Another reason why y'all should sub. Austin, how I mean, it seems like Ole Miss is winning this breakup so far.
Yeah, I wonder how much of this is based on like emotion from the breakup, though. Um, it. Hey, if this has anything to do with how Pete Golding's handling the team and his coaching style and things, then my hat's off to him. And I hope he does well and keeps it going. But I wonder how much of this is, and at the same time, I wonder how much Pete Golding is playing the emotion card uh, to keep these guys here. Look, regardless, you got Ole Miss playing for a semifinal. Um, they're still getting paid.
Mm-hmm.
Ole Miss is on the map now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw all those guys. I can't find anything. So the guy that I heard at work say that might not know what he's talking about, or might have had some bad info on if he got his waiver approved. But when you look at the amount of players, productive players staying at Ole Miss, I'm curious how many would stay if they weren't still in the playoffs. If, say, they lost one of their first two games, would they have followed Kiffin to LSU, or would they have still stayed? And I think that makes a big difference, because right now they're loving everything. Everything's good. They're ready to win 2 more games and run it back and all of that. Would that, and I'm completely fine with them staying at Ole Miss. I wish players would stay more. I get why some of them leave, but I hope everybody stays everywhere that they are. But I'm curious if they would have lost one of those first 2 games, if their doors would be opening a lot faster. And they still might, if they lose this weekend, maybe they do this weekend. I don't know.
Yeah, it'll be curious. And I think it's really cool. And LSU Ole Miss fans are going at it on Twitter. That's also another sick thing.
It's fun to watch.
It's fun to
Dude,
watch.
I'm telling you, I am finding tickets to that game next year. I want to be at the Ole Miss LSU game.
Yeah, and if you don't take me, we're not best friends no more.
Is it in Baton
Hey,
Rouge or Oxford?
no, it's in Oxford.
Okay, that's what I thought. That makes it
Yeah,
even better.
Chris. Even if we can't get tickets, we might go just to hang out at the tailgates.
Drive up, tailgate. The thing with Oxford is you're gonna have to stay 45 minutes to an hour outside of town, just because of the lack of hotels around there.
I've heard that. Yeah,
That's all right.
Unless you want to pay a lot of money.
I have a best friend who doesn't drink, so I don't mind staying outside of town.
That is true. That is very true. But that was massive. I don't think I have anything else on the portal except seems like the Cam Coleman thing is starting to shape up. Canceled a visit to USC. He's on a visit to Texas Tech right now. Looks like it's going to come down to Texas or Texas A&M, which is what we've been saying for weeks. And then I think Texas Tech is doing it again, not just with Sorsby. I didn't write down, but they're getting quite a few freaking players that are some beast. I think they're in it for that. I think they're about to get that Minnesota safety. That's a stud, and they just got a D lineman, I think, from Wake Forest that was a stud, and they're pretty much killing it there. Before we move on to the playoff semis, y'all have any closing thoughts on Porter? Anything I missed? Anything?
In my opinion, we already spent 10 minutes too long on the portal, but that's me in the portal. So
trust me, I did too. I trust me. We spent way too long on the portal if it was up to me. But unfortunately, we are the show for the people. And looking at the numbers, I can tell you they love people. That's what's funny. I don't mean to go on a rant.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
I don't mean to go on a rant, but it's funny getting on Twitter and people talk about how bad they hate Portal. But man, the numbers tell me otherwise, fellas. You people are lying. Yeah, people are lying because I made a YouTube thumbnail once with the portal thing. Jesus, that video did numbers. One of our top 5 videos on YouTube is a portal clip that I did, and I promise you, I'm going to clip this 20-minute segment and boost that algorithm numbers up because yeah, people be lying. But anyway, let's go on to the semifinals. Miami. I think last I checked, it's a running joke on We Talk Ball. I just wing it on the spread. I think I check it once at the beginning of the week, and then Austin has to go behind me. Last I remember, it was -3 versus Ole Miss.
Both games are sitting at 3.5 right now.
Okay, thank God. Well, 3.5. Okay, I didn't even write down the Indiana Oregon one. I was gonna hope you had it. Man. Let's go Adam, because I think I went Austin last. Adam, I wanted to ask this. Should have texted you this. I know you hate this. I'm springing something on you. What matchup in this game are you looking forward to the most?
The defensive line of Miami, and if Trinidad Chambliss can get the ball out of his hands fast enough, one, or scramble. He is so dynamic, and the defensive line is what won the game for Miami against Ohio State. You had a quarterback that just was not nearly as mobile as Chambliss is and kind of looked lost at times. And I think Ole Miss's offensive line might be a little bit better too. You know, that was some of the weak things going into the playoffs for Ohio State was they had no run game. Ole Miss does, and their offensive line wasn't great. So I think Ole Miss wins this game if he can put up yards running and passing. And if he doesn't, then Miami wins. That's the matchup I want to see is how many times can they get to him and get him to the ground? Because they're going to get to him. But do they get him to the ground, or does he flush out the pocket one way or the other and gain 6 yards or pick up 4 yards on a 3rd and 4, you know?
Austin, I'm not going to ask you the same because I would imagine we all probably feel the same on that. But I want to go
honestly.
Yeah, that's why you boys getting better at being a host. Where I wanted to go with you is me and you talked on the phone. I think it was yesterday morning, and we had talked about how we felt like this matchup for Miami is. We felt like Ole Miss had an advantage on offense that maybe Georgia didn't against his pass rush. Expound on that a little bit from what we talked about this morning on the phone. I guess kind of bring our phone conversation to YouTube.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's exactly what it is. I think Georgia's more of a, and honestly, I think that's what bit them in the ass in the Ole Miss game was they felt they could play bully ball, and Ole Miss stood up a little bit, and that was enough to get them the win. Um, so Ole Miss can do so many things. Obviously, with Lacey out of the backfield, can help take some pressure off of Chambliss. They need him to have a big game. But man, if Chambliss plays 40% as good as he did against Georgia, with getting away from the rush, uh, I, this game is one I'm excited for.
I hate this on Thursday night.
Look, I'm gonna make it all 4 quarters, unless it turns out to be a blowout. But your boy will be up for 4 quarters on this game.
We'll see.
I'm
Come back
excited.
next week.
I think that's still TBD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or pay attention to College Crew. You may see a screenshot from Caitlin when she sends me he's snoring, and it's in the third quarter.
Thursday night, see me right here for the live reaction show from the semifinals. I'm calling it now. Athletes Forum podcast. Put your money on the over.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be awake.
Over on the number of quarters you'll be awake for?
That's exactly right.
Oh, I'm gonna have to get Caitlin in on this here in a minute.
Don't do that. She'll put me to sleep.
Yeah.
But let me say this about this game. When I think about this game, obviously Vegas leaning, 3.5 points. Miami just looking. clicked on ESPN real quick because they have that little analytics predictor. Almost 60% Miami. Man, I feel like this is a game Ole Miss can win.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. I don't know how much college football podcast y'all consume during the week. I drive for a living, so I consume way too many. And I listened to like six. I'm telling you, I listened to like six preview podcasts today, and they're overwhelming. I actually none of them picked Ole Miss. Let's go ahead and get out of the way. But most of them felt pretty dang comfortable in their pick for Miami, which made me question going into the show tonight because I've made up my mind before I listen to shows, and I listened to them, and I was like, man, what am I missing here? Like, what am I missing? Because I do feel like Ole Miss can stop that pass rush. Because it's almost like people forget, and maybe I'm misremembering. You guys can help me. Austin, when we did a recap show around October for the Ole Miss Oklahoma game, I seem to remember one of the general takeaways from that game was how impressive Ole Miss neutralized that pass rush. And Oklahoma, if you want to talk about Miami, they're like this. I mean, you could have an argument on who's better. I mean, Oklahoma's pass rush was just as elite as Miami's. And if I remember correctly, Ole Miss did a pretty good job like stabilizing that thing. And I don't know. Am I crazy here? Am I misremembering?
Adam, you answer that because you know my answer.
A mobile quarterback helps counter a passing rush. Up-tempo offense helps counter a good pass rush, and Ole Miss does both of those. And I'm surprised to hear that they all were thinking Miami because Miami is very good at what they do. They get a lead, they run the ball, and they're like a boa constrictor. They keep the other team's offense off the field, and then they just let that pass rush go when the other team gets behind and has to throw the ball. They just let those pass rushers. It kind of reminds me of Florida State back in the 90s and the Bowden years with all those amazing defenses they had. The defensive ends just keep getting a little bit wider, and they, because they're not worried about anything running up the middle. And Lacey's a good running back, and Chambliss runs the ball well. I think they're going to throw some designed runs in there. They're going to throw a lot more RPOs in there, and Chambliss is more accurate than Reese as well. So that's why I think that is going to be the big difference maker is how much pressure can they get on him, and can he get out of the pocket? Because Miami's game isn't scoring a lot of points. So if they can keep Ole Miss off the field and have those long sustained drives and get points, they're going to have to finish drives with touchdowns. They can't kick field goals. But I don't know if they can do it. I don't see Miami winning a shootout. I don't see Beck being a player that wins a game for them. He's talented. He has, but that's not really his game. He's got great receivers. He gets it out to his receivers and lets them make plays. He's not one that has to win the game that you want to have to win a game for you. I think you can do that with Chambliss. I think Ole Miss is going to be able to get up and down the field some with that high tempo and wear their defense out. I think Ole Miss wins by at least a touchdown. I really do.
Clip that.
I really do. And don't get me wrong. I'm not going to be surprised if anybody wins any of these games. I said it last week.
It's the semifinals. Yeah.
I'm 4-4 in my picks so far in the playoffs. It's all good football teams, but so clearly I'm not doing this very good, but I think Ole Miss is going to be able to get up and get down the field enough to where in the fourth quarter, Miami's defense is starting to get a little tired.
I will say this. Ole Miss is first in quality drive rate. Miami, only 26% of all drives against the Miami defense have gained a first down inside the Miami 40. So this is going to be exciting, the offense versus the defense. I was on TikTok Live a little earlier while producing our previous show before us, the Veterans Voice Sports podcast. And a Miami fan, a regular Miami fan that comes onto our TikToks all the time, and he's come on to YouTube a couple of times. He said, who are you picking, Ole Miss or Miami? And I said, I don't know yet. And he said, please pick Miami because you've been 0-2 against them. So I'm gonna do him a favor. I'm gonna pick Ole Miss. So good news for Miami fans. If you hear a bunch of cheering, that is all the Miami fans that are watching us, all 6 of them, and they are cheering very loudly because I have once again picked against Miami for the 3rd time. I'm kind of surprised that people are Josh Pate, who I love. I think we all love Josh Pate and respect Josh Pate. He's paved the way for so many YouTube people. He said, I listened to his show this morning. He's picking Miami and Miami to cover, and he thinks it's going to be by 7 or more. He did the opposite of Adam, and so, but I don't know, man. I don't know. Call me SEC homer. I'm going Ole Miss. Austin.
Yeah, same. I'm going Ole Miss. I think this is the type of game that Ole Miss could punch Miami in the mouth real quick, and next thing you know, it's 14-0, and Miami's not built to come from behind. Also, we've kind of jumped off the Mario Cristobal train a little bit and given him a hard time.
I
He's
meant to
been the
text you. Are we going? I'm sorry to cut you off, but me and Austin did a top 25 coaches ranking last year, and we did not have Mario in our top 25 because we were kind of sick of him choking it away. I'm assuming he's going to make a big jump in our rankings this year, right?
I think you
well.
need to add him in there somewhere.
Here's my thoughts on this. The last 2 games we've talked about that, but he's been the underdog. And in the ACC, he hasn't been an underdog very much. He's more known for losing games he's supposed to win. So now that you're not the underdog anymore, you're the favorite. I'm curious to see if he has that same look in his eyes like he did against Ohio State.
Yeah.
I do think Miami's going to score some points though, because Ole Miss defense is not the greatest.
I agree with that.
Miami will score some points, and I think you're going to get into. It's all going to come down to who can control the pace of the game. Is it going to be a shootout? Because I don't think Miami can keep up, or is Miami going to have that ball control offense and keep Ole Miss offense off the field?
Before we go to the next game, am I wrong in thinking? I'd like to get both of y'all's opinion. We'll go Austin first, then I'll Adam. Am I wrong in thinking that I'll know rather quickly how this game goes if Ole Miss comes out and quick?
Yeah, no, that's kind of what I'm projecting. I really think it will be 14-0 before you even can get settled in the chair good, to watch the game. And then they'll slow it down some, but that's what I think will happen. They'll jump off to an early lead and just be able to sustain it.
Adam, you think that's a good thought?
I think by the end of the first quarter, you're going to get a feel for who's controlling the game. And if Ole Miss is controlling it but not finishing drives, they traditionally, it's not just a given thing. They do go for it on 4th down some. If they go for it on 4th down a few times or settle for kicking field goals and come away with only 3 or 0 points, Miami's right in the game. That pace of play is not going to matter. I think it's going to be how many points are scored in the first quarter is going to tell us, because controlling the game, just because they control the game, they still got to get points. I go back to Tulane game with Ole Miss. Tulane did not want to go up and down the field with them, but they were. They just couldn't finish drives and settle for a field goal, and then got behind to where they were turning it over, couldn't kick field goals anymore. They had to go for it on 4th down because they were going up and down the field yardage-wise. They just they couldn't finish drives because Ole Miss was the better team. And I think that is going to be who finishes drives early and can set the pace. You got to do both. You can't just do one.
Yep. All right. Indiana versus Oregon. As Austin said, both games were -3.5. 3.5. 3.5. Sorry. First meeting, 30-20 Indiana. Dante Moore was sacked 6 times. I think what scares me the most, guys, on this game is Oregon's offense. Texas Tech, they struggled there, and we mentioned this on the show, the recap show me and Austin did on Sunday. I dug even further into the numbers. Against the best defenses they've played, Iowa, Penn State, Indiana, and Texas Tech, they've only averaged 1.82 points per drive, which is really bad. Success rate, 41%. That's really bad. A negative EPA, which is really bad. But here's the one that I thought is mind-blowing to me. I'm really curious to see y'all's reaction. If you take away the defensive scores in those 4 games, Oregon's only averaged 17.25 points per game. You're fixing to face an Indiana defense, guys. This is also mind-blowing to me. Like, I'm still kind of like, I've been on the Indiana bandwagon all year, but the more I dig into them, I still get kind of like blown away by stuff I learn about Indiana, like statistically and stuff like that. Because this defense, guys, this Indiana defense is elite. This Indiana defense is really elite. They lead the nation in red zone touchdown percentage allowed at 27%. Do y'all two know the last 2 defenses to do that, to be under 30% in red zone touchdown percentage allowed? 2021 Georgia at 28% and 2016 LSU at 24%. We're talking about a 21 defense of Georgia that's basically a whole ass NFL defense right now in the NFL. And here's the kicker I think is going to blow y'all's mind. Not a single player on that defense ranked above a 3-star.
I think, Athletes Forum says they weren't impressed with Oregon's offense against Tech, and I wasn't really either. I thought that they were going to come out and be a little bit better. Now, going back to, like I said, about the other game that we already previewed, Oregon moved the ball a little bit, but not as successfully as I thought they would, and they also didn't finish drives. Oregon has to finish drives if they're going to stay in the game with Indiana. I don't know if they're going to be able to. And that's kind of Dan Lanning's MO, is he likes to go for it on 4th down. He doesn't like kicking field goals. He left a lot of points on the field. Oregon left a lot of points on the field against Texas Tech. And they were fortunate that Texas Tech's offense couldn't get out of their own way, and the Oregon defense also showed up and balled out too. But Texas Tech's defensive line got after him a little bit, and I was surprised. There was one field goal I was surprised he didn't kick, and then he went for it on 4th down another time, and I don't think he got it in the first half. That game very easily could have been 21-0, but I'm curious to see if Lanning's going to be a little bit more conservative on his, they call Ron Rivera Riverboat Ron, and whatever the Lions coach, I can't think of his name right now, my mind just went blank, but
Dan Campbell.
Yes, Dan Campbell, the way that they like to gamble and go for 4th downs and not kick field goals and not punt. Laney's got a lot of that in him, and they can put up a lot of points when it's super successful. But if they're playing a good defense, which Indiana is, are they going to be able to convert?
Austin, this was the last game. This was Mendoza. I would say it wasn't that was probably the worst game he played, was against Oregon, despite winning. Who threw that up there? Who did that? Chris, why are you still wearing Georgia gear if they lost? Because I'm a true fan. Who is that? Michelle. Because that threw me off. Man, that got me. Austin. Because I'm a true fan, and I still love my dogs. Austin, what's your outlook?
Georgia lost, and you should burn all of your shirts and hats and jackets and shoes and socks, underwear.
I feel like that's one of y'all messing with me. Like y'all went and made a YouTube account.
I actually feel bad that I got the Falcons gear on tonight. I just what was in the closet, and I grabbed it because I was coming outside, and now I feel like a bandwagon fan. But thanks for that, Michelle. But anyhow, no. So I'm going to piggyback on what Adam just said and kind of say the opposite of that. I think Lanning's got to do all of those things that could possibly turn out negative, but I think he's going to have to do those things to and find a way to make them successful to have a chance to win this game. I think Indiana's just playing too good to try to, line like we talked about with Georgia and Ole Miss, just line up and try to play a normal. He's got to find a way to kind of muck it up and get them out of rhythm a little bit. So I think this is gonna be a fun coaching battle. You you know, got Dan Lanning on the sideline over there. Uh, hopefully he's wearing a t-shirt and it's raining. I know they're in a dome, but maybe they'll pour water on him. He's soaking wet and going crazy. And then Indiana sidelines just like this the whole time. So
Yeah. He's a sick
I
man in a cotton sweater while in the rain. I'm just saying.
I know. That's I said that. But what I mean by that is I think Dan Lanning's going to try to play some mind games and I think right now that's the only way to beat Indiana. I think if you try to line up man to man and just play football, you've got to get some kind of extracurriculars in there.
Austin, I don't disagree with you. What I think needs to, because they do need to. That's how they got to win, is to do it. But he needs to pick and choose, and he needs to be smart about it. I think back to the regular season Washington game 2 years ago when there's the final year of the Pac-12. He went for it multiple times on fourth down, didn't kick 2 or 3 field goals, and they came away with 0 points. Like, if it works, it's great. Sometimes he just starts doing it a little bit too often when it's not working.
I'll give you that.
He did things against Ohio State in the regular season game last year when they won, and it worked. And that's why they won that game, among a few other things. I felt he did it too much, which I guess maybe he was that confident in his defense. But I felt he did it too much against Texas Tech, and I've seen him do it too much in some other games. Sometimes I feel like he starts to press the way he gambles. He presses too much in big games. Is what I'm getting at, because I agree with you.
Yeah.
He will need to some, and when he does, he needs to pick the right point to do it, and it needs to be successful, because they're going to be in a deep hole if it's not.
I agree 100%.
Yeah, I agree. I had my mind, so I picked Oregon to go to the national championship. It's the only freaking thing I've gotten close to getting right in this freaking playoff. But I had my mind set I was picking Oregon, but guys, I just can't. Indiana's this has nothing to do with Alabama, that Alabama game, but it just
Yes,
like
it does. I don't mean to cut you off, but I got to say that too. How much of this is an overreaction? Because I'll be honest, when I think about this game in my mind, Oregon has no shot. But I think I'm still going off of the feeling of the Bama game. Look, this Indiana team is great. But Oregon played what seemed to be one of their worst games of the year against them, in the regular season, and only lost by 10. Which, I mean, I guess that's still 2 possessions, but you're talking to a guy who just lost 38-3 to him. So a 10-point game sounds pretty close right now. So I have thought about that. Like, are we overreacting to the Alabama blowout? And I don't know. I'm still picking Indiana. I think
it is
Indiana's
hard
playing. I think Indiana's playing well. They were on a mission, particularly against Alabama. I hope that mission stays focused like it was in that game.
And as our guy Pops says, Coach Pops, and we say it too, but it is hard to beat a good team twice, as
Absolutely.
Georgia just learned.
I've seen
Bama learned.
I've seen stats on that, and it's still right about 50-50.
Is it?
Mathematically, that's not true.
I've always wanted to know that. Like, I've always wanted to know that. And our boy Adam.
It's been a couple years, but I saw an article, and I forget how many games they went through. So I can't even tell you, was it 5 games? Was it, 500? Was it 5,000? I don't remember. But they said it was only like 1% different from the team that won the first time not winning the second time.
It does. It does feel like, if I'm being honest, I actually, this is so funny because I thought about this today at work when I was thinking about things to say on the show, and I was like, well, I know I'm going to say the usual. It's hard to beat a team twice, and I got to thinking, I was like, man, it feels like we just say that a lot, just with no facts backed up. Like it's just like a go-to that we say all the time.
It happened with Washington and Oregon 2 years ago.
Yes,
Washington beat them in the regular season and then beat them again in the Pac-12 championship. I was convinced Oregon was winning both of those games.
me
I was
too.
wrong on both of them.
Me too.
And
Pick Oregon the second game based solely on the fact of it's hard to beat a team twice.
I picked Oregon because I felt they left more points on the field at Washington,
Yeah.
and they got blown out in the second game. And I'm going Indiana too. Indiana, and again, two great teams. I'm not going to be surprised if Indiana loses, but to me, Indiana seems to be the most well-rounded team. And I'm not basing that off of last week. I'm not basing that off of it's if you, and I'm not a huge analytic guy, but I heard somebody talking about their analytics. They are kind of in the top across the board on everything. Chris, you're the analytic guy, so you can kind of read some of those off if you have it right there. Where Oregon is a little bit more of a roller coaster, and Signetti, Oregon's probably more talented if you look at star ratings. Signetti just has this team chemistry so good, such a tight-knit, well-coached, fundamental team. They're not going to beat themselves. And as long as they don't beat themselves again and commit a lot of penalties and make mistakes, I don't see them losing.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I have seen them. They are the top of everything. I mean, they're in the top category of every statistical
across the board.
Look at. Yeah, across the board. The only real weakness they have, which I don't even know that it's a real weakness because of Mendoza, is they do allow quite a few pressures, and Oregon actually got after Mendoza's ass in the last game, but Mendoza across the board on every advanced stat you look at is absolutely elite under pressure. So I don't know that it really matters they get to Mendoza because he absolutely crushes it when he's under pressure. Like his numbers are out of this world when he's under pressure. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just not gonna overthink this. I'm gonna go Indiana. All right. We're gonna close out on this because I just seen it on Twitter, and I know we already talked about this game, but I just wanted to get your guys' reaction. So Brandon Marcello with CBSSports.com. I guess he's at the Fiesta Bowl. The teams are starting to arrive, doing their media obligations. Charlie Weiss Jr. is there at the Fiesta Bowl, but the status of the LSU bound assistants is, and he did the shrug emoji. Joe Judge was just quoted, which is the Ole Miss quarterback coach. We are prepared depending on who does or does not show up. We've coached the entire week without them, basically planning for no one to be here, but we don't know if that'll be the case. I wish I'd have seen that before we previewed that. Ugh. That makes me want to root for Ole Miss even more.
Yeah. And honestly, I think it's going to, at this point in the season, I'm not saying coaching doesn't matter because it
No, yeah.
1,000% does, but you know what to do at this point in the season. So I don't know if it'll have as big a deal, but it will, and from that emotional standpoint, for sure.
It's a damn. I don't want to get on a rant. We're at an hour. We did go over an hour. But that's fine. It's a damn shame what some of these jackasses are doing to these kids. And I know some people are like, they're not kids, they're paid professionals. I get it. I get it.
Too. They're not kids.
I get it. But they're young adults, and they're not. Y'all remember when we were 18 to 22? We wasn't all the way mature. So I mean, me and Austin at 18 to 22 hit a deer. Never mind. We hit. That's an off the air story. I'll tell Adam in a minute.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just feel bad for those guys that they're dealing with this with the coaches and all that. I don't know. Anyway,
I went into the post game press conference of the Sugar Bowl, and I forget who it was the defensive MVP. His name's slipping my mind. Defensive lineman for Ole Miss. I missed Georgia because I was out at the trophy presentation. But I went in and watched the Ole Miss. And it was Chambliss, and they both said, we're here as a team. We want to win for each other. Who coaches us doesn't really matter at this point. And both of them handled all the questions about the uncertainty with coaching and all the portal and all that stuff. And they asked about his waiver, and they both answered everything with such class and grace. And it almost sounded like they had been coached up on that, like politicians are. And they just had such great answers. And that is another thing that makes me think those guys, it's just another thing that happens during the season, and they'll just keep clicking along playing football. Like, that's all they talked about is we just want to play football. We want to keep winning games for each other, and that seemed like they were just so focused on what the next step in the process was. And they said a couple times, we just want to go 1-0 in the next game.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that focus with I thought the circus would bother them because Lane Kiffin left a lot of circus in Oxford when he left. I thought that would get the best of them. And I was thinking that the Georgia game wouldn't be that close. I was hoping they would struggle against Tulane. Didn't happen at all. They just ran them out of the stadium. They beat Georgia. And that press conference really kind of summed it up for me of how they answer those questions.
Yeah. And it's the main reason I'm rooting for them. All right, guys. Man, what a loaded show. Man, that was a great show. We at College Sports Crew, Sweet Tea, the SEC, and We Talk Ball, we appreciate everybody that tuned in. If y'all could, please go hit the sub button. I think we're finally starting to get some real momentum over there. And again, it's at College Sports Crew, capital C, capital S, capital C. And if you go to Twitter, you can follow us at College Crew. You can also follow us on TikTok, same name as the YouTube, at College Sports Crew. We go live on there sometimes too as bonus content. And and hey, go catch the replay of the Veterans podcast with Coach Pops and Ian. They broke down some of these games through the coaching lens, and Ian talked about his Crimson Tide and the Indiana game. And I think tomorrow Jamal has a show with the Sideline. And I don't think we'll be back till Sunday, right, Austin? Me and you on We Talk Ball.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, and now we will have instant reactions Thursday and Friday. We'll see if Austin shows up. If he does, I'm going to clip that and put it on TikTok. We'll see if we can get some people to take some bets.
I'll be here if you need me to.
Oh, yeah, Adam. Yeah, you can join us.
Join it, man. We just get on and
yeah.
Oh yeah, he was at
Adam
the game.
couldn't because he was at the game. I forgot about it. Yeah. Adam might be here too. We might get the whole game together. Me, Adam, and Sean. And Austin. So come join us Thursday night, Friday night for the live reactions, and after that we'll see you Sunday. And then me and Adam, assuming Ole Miss wins, we'll be back Tuesday. So we'll see if the SEC show ends or not. All right, y'all have a good night.
Hold on. Let me do the shirt real quick. I finally got a shirt.
The combo thing. I forgot.
I finally got a shirt here, Chris. I got this shirt. This is a Delta Zeta sorority shirt, but it's from Loyola Marymount. Melissa from California sent me this shirt. It's a very worn out old shirt, but Loyola Marymount, they actually had college football up until 1951. And then the president decided they were spending too much money on it and shut down the program in 1951 as a varsity sport. It continued on into the 60s as an intramural or club sport after that. But thank you for the shirt, Melissa from California. And Loyola Marymount, that's where it is. So if you have shirts that you don't want anymore that are Goodwill, that any upper or higher education shirt on it, I will wear them on this show, and then I'll figure out what to do with them afterwards if you don't want them back. So thank you very much. And Chris, you want me to close us out now?
Yeah, I feel so bad for forgetting. Yeah, go ahead.
That's all right. I had to make sure I did it because I actually got this shirt. All my other shirts I either had or I borrowed from somebody I knew. So all right. I appreciate everybody watching. As Chris said, enjoy the games this weekend. Keep sipping that sweet tea, watching the SEC, and come back and watch us because we talk ball.